Okay, yeah. So, Joe Archuleta.
Yes,
I
Joe Archuleta. Some people call me, a lot of people know me as Lobo Joe too.
okay.
So like a lot of my softball teams call me Lobo Joe. My real estate is Lobo Joe Realty.
Mm,
So kind of, and
okay.
all my coworkers up at the labs know me as Lobo Joe.
Okay.
So
Why Lobo Joe?
I'm a huge Lobo fan, number
Oh,
one.
okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
it's like, for me, it's like deeper than that. So the last time I saw my grandfather alive was at a Lobo basketball game in 2009 when the Lobos were playing Utah. And if you grew up going to Lobo games at the pit, you know that like Utah and New Mexico was always the biggest rivalry back in the day, right? 90s, 2000s, and it was 2009, September 4th, 2009. Actually, his anniversary just passed like 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm,
And that's when my grandfather died. The last time I remember seeing him alive was at the New Mexico Utah game at the pit.
yeah.
And so, growing up, it was always like we always had season tickets to Lobo football, and we couldn't really afford season tickets to Lobo basketball. So every once in a while, we'd go to Lobo basketball games. And so it's more of a family thing too, because this past spring my Uncle Paul died, and the last time I remember seeing him was at the pit for a little basketball game.
Mm,
It was a Friday night that I saw him. He passed away that next Tuesday. So like the Lobos, and like it's always been a thing since I was born. We tailgated yesterday for Lobo football,
mm.
and I have season tickets. My uncle has season tickets. My auntie has season tickets. My cousins have season tickets. My parents have season tickets. Like, there's a big group of us that tailgate for Lobo football games, and
Yeah.
we've been tailgating forever, for
Mm.
like the longest.
Okay.
So that's where the name Lobo Joe comes from, because I originally, well, okay, technically it came from Twitter and Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
because I got an iPhone for the first time in 2014, and all my hipster friends were like, oh, well, now you got to get an Instagram and Twitter and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went with the name Lobo Joe, and it
It's
stuck
stuck.
over
Yeah.
the years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes it's like the sports thing kind of becomes like a family tradition
absolutely.
in some
That's
ways.
exactly
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is a
yeah.
good thing, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
like, whether it's sports or whatever it is, it's like, oh, you're bringing the family together.
Exactly.
There's like
Exactly.
these, cherished moments or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I love that.
It's unique because we've all been going to Lobo games forever, right? Like, I feel like that's the one thing that all of us do as a family.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got aunts and uncles that we've gotten into it about God and about Catholicism and about all the, everything in telling God. And because they have a different view, right? They
Mm-hmm.
were the kind of the Catholics that grew up in the faith. Like my grandparents were devout. Like, they served at Our Lady of Fatima Parish forever. My dad was an altar boy. My uncle Mark was an altar boy there. Like, all my aunts and uncles got married there. Like, that's like our church, right? But none of them go there anymore.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, that was also a tradition that our family used to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But as time goes on and as politics get involved and all these different perspectives and blah, 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 and you have the, angry Protestant Christian movement of the early 2000s that kind of shoved religion down people's throats. That gave a lot of people a bad taste in their mouth, right?
Mm.
I think when you tie all that together with politics and pop culture and the secular world, that's what kind of pushes away, especially when they don't understand their faith. And that's what I think happened with my family. And not necessarily my parents definitely my brothers and my sister, but aunts and uncles and sometimes cousins and stuff, they don't really understand and know that we are consuming the body and blood of Christ every Sunday at Mass. And they also don't understand the reason we bless ourselves when we walk into a Catholic church, right? Is to kind of cleanse ourselves of the impurities that we take on, and it's just living in this secular world where, injustice runs rampant, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think those family traditions are something that really must be upkept and upheld.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the Lobo, the New Mexico State University team is something you all can agree on. You may not agree on
right.
politics or how to live out the faith, but you can on the
Exactly.
team, and that's
For
something
real.
that should be cherished and valued.
Absolutely.
Now, you were just talking a little bit about understanding the faith, because I had trouble with this growing up in the Catholic Church, is just not like I didn't really get the gospel. Like
Yeah.
I didn't really
It's hard to comprehend, bro.
understand like the good news.
Mm-hmm.
I understood like some of it, like Christ died for our sins, but I was like, what are even my sins? Like I'm not
Yeah.
like killing
Then you
people.
learn there's different types of sins too.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
yeah, a lot of sins.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been in my adult years
Mm-hmm.
where I've like truly kind of understood it, like
Nice.
understood like the gospel, what it means to be like born again Christian, and
uh-huh.
all of that, and then now like the sacraments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so this is something that is obviously pretty important to you.
Absolutely.
You're a CCD teacher.
Uh-huh.
So what are you doing that's different than, I know this is not necessarily the same as like growing up, like you're not teaching your own children,
Right.
but you
Right.
are teaching children or young adults and stuff like that. So what are
Yeah.
you doing that's different, and how are you trying to make that a focus point?
I think so. I know on your video you said something about, can you be born again as a Catholic?
Yes.
I think was one of the questions that you posed.
Yeah.
And thinking to my own faith, 100%. I think we all go, as Catholics, we're all supposed to go through the rite of confirmation, right? Which means I accept Christ into my heart. I'm a follower of His. Now I'm His disciples forever. That's how it's supposed to be done, right? But most people, it's just kind of, my grandpa want me to do it. My parents signed me up, blah, 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 whatever, right? But I think truly that second, like that being born again, is that confirmation, but that's when you own it yourself. And that's when you realize the magnitude of what you're doing. And that's when you understand that this is the creator of the Himalayas and the Sandias and every single little atom and molecule and cell that our entire world and bodies are made up of. And you know what I mean? And when you think of God in that type of sense, of the creator of everything, you're like, dang, what? It's a different perspective. So how I live my life differently, I think, is I've noticed when I'm not partaking in Mass, when I'm not, practicing my faith in a daily manner, which means walking the walk. I think that's one of the main perspectives between the Protestant faith and the Catholic faith, is you can't get to heaven just on faith alone. It has to be faith and works. You have to talk the talk and walk the walk. So one of the reasons I teach CCD is because, dude, there are so many little things about Catholicism that I never understood. Like in the early days, this is what I do with my students now, right? Before they walk into class, they have to do, so in the early days of the church, like we're talking before Constantine, right? So like 100 AD, 200 AD, the way to signify you were a follower of Christ, say we're having a conversation and we're standing up, right? If I were to cross my foot just in like a half circle, which nobody really notices, right? You're walking around, maybe you do that. If the other person did the same thing, then that signified that they were a follower of Christ. Why? What they would mark in the sand is a fish, right? So you do the top of the fish, I do a fish symbol, swipe, they do the bottom fish to close it up. It was like a secret handshake almost, like, oh yeah, you're not gonna persecute me. You know what I mean? You're not gonna turn me into the authorities. So they go and kill my family off, like, because I'm a follower of Christ. So I think the reason I say that is because there are so many little tiny details about the Catholic faith that I had no idea about until I started, following different people on Instagram, seeing different videos on TikTok, and understanding, and actually that one I learned at the Acts retreat. If you do an Acts retreat, first of all, you can't speak a word about it when you leave, but dog, it is life-changing, and it is the coolest thing in the world. Anyways, back to teaching CCD. So the reason I do it is because when people understand, like as human beings, everything, the unknown is scary, right? The unknown for everything is scary. How are you going to, retar your roof? How are you going to fix your flooring? How are you going to fix your car? You don't know. That's a scary part about it.
Yeah.
And in terms of Catholicism, there are millions of people that sit in the pews at Catholic churches every single week, and they don't really know, right?
Yeah.
They're just kind of going through the motions because their parents did it, their grandparents did it, and so on and so forth. But when you have an understanding of the faith and you realize what you're truly saying, right? Like the creed, I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. There, it details everything that we believe. And when you truly pay attention, like, wow, you're saying that because it's a belief and understanding that this is where my faith goes. This is how it's supposed to go. This is how do we strengthen others? And that's what my role as a CCD teacher is to strengthen these kids. So I bought a basketball hoop, so we come out and shoot hoops too. Cause I'm like, they have to have fun. At the end of the day, they're kids, bro. And if they're having fun and they're enjoying themselves, they want to keep coming back, right? Nobody wants to go somewhere where some dude is just yapping their ear off for hours at a time. And they're just like, I'm bored. Nobody likes that. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to motivate and inspire and give an understanding that, what are we really doing sitting here Sunday mornings?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for me, it was like church and stuff like that was just something I kind of did here and there. Praying occasionally, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it was like this moment where the Spirit of the living God was like in me, and it's like, oh, it doesn't just have to be Sunday at church. It's like every single day of my life, in all moments.
Absolutely.
Like it's an adventure.
Right.
And then church and everything, all that other stuff just becomes more enjoyable and passionate.
And what were the changes you saw once that happened in your own personal life?
Oh, so once that happened, there was like a big moment in the fall of 2023. Now, there was like a journey that was leading up to that.
Okay.
I'd say like 3 or 4 years prior.
Okay.
But from there, so I was already like in scripture every day.
Dang.
Like trying to pray consistently every day.
Okay.
Understand, like get different perspectives. I was listening to different like preachers and pastors and stuff like that.
Okay, legit.
So yeah, I would say those things for sure, like prayer, scripture, different like spiritual leaders, and then I would, it just kind of branched out from there into like fasting, different types of devotions, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
legit.
it's just kind of been like all sorts of different things over the last couple of years.
Like what I've noticed with my own journey is when I felt that kind of born again feeling, right? I realized, and it kind of came in a time where I felt like I had nobody, right? I felt like I was all alone. I had just, this was beginning of 2021, right after COVID.
Yeah.
It took me 19 times to pass the real estate exam. I was with a woman that we were constantly butting heads. It was hard. It didn't vibe right? And I was engaged to her, and she was a Protestant. I was a Catholic. We just wanted way too many different things. I ended up breaking up with her. She owned most of the furniture in my house. So not only am I a brand new realtor in a game that's where it's 83% of first year realtors won't be a realtor after their first year. It's very cutthroat. And I was full time and I didn't have another job. I had no other source of income, right?
Yeah.
So I was sleeping on my couch because she, again, owned all the furniture in my house. So when I broke up with her, so did the furniture. The furniture all went with her. I slept on my couch. I practiced real estate, constantly. I was working out all the time. I was in contract and I did well. But I also realized, like, my trust for humanity completely went out the window. I was isolated, I was alone, I had nowhere to turn, and God was the only hope that I had. And once I did that, I realized that if you have God that's backing you up, dog, every CEO becomes a human being. Every cop becomes a person. It levels the playing field entirely. So the idea of what FDR said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. It is absolutely on par accurate, because from that point on, there's been like this fearlessness, like, bro, we're all gonna die, right? And I get 80 years on a planet that's been around billions. God doesn't want me just to sit around, hang out, enjoy Netflix and smoke 10 doobies a day. You know what I mean? He wants me to get out there and do something with my life and make your life meaningful, so others have a positive impact, or so you make a positive impact on others, and you can also help others grow. I think that's what I've noticed in my own faith, and it's you know, I've gone skydiving twice, you know what I mean, and I've done like, now I just don't want to do all these crazy things that I never wanted to do before. But I've also seen my own value too, realizing that if I'm a child of God, you're a child of God, all of us are children of God. Guess what? Then we should be empowering each other. We should be emboldening each other. We should be pushing every single one of ourselves to the limit, but do it internally, just with ourselves. Now, we can't tell others how to think, act, and feel, right? It's weird, man. But at the end of the day, if you live your life as an example of God's, you know, holiness, His helpfulness, His grace, then others will see that, and they'll be curious about your own life and how you got to that point. And I think that is what every single man, woman, and child on this planet should strive to be. Yeah. Because that's how you truly become a saint. And I think there's no greater blessing than to have the title of saint. That's a pretty magnificent.
That's pretty. You know what I mean? That's pretty well, and that's like
greatest title ever.
I mean, that is like the first and foremost greatest command, right?
Absolutely.
We're to love God. We're to love our neighbor. Which kind of, So it's like, okay, how are we going to show that? Even when we disagree, even when we're under tension and stress and fear, it's like, how do you show love? You know? So I'm glad we touched on that. I think you got to go though, right?
Probably. Yeah. What time is it?
I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll head out?
I'm down.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are they? When did you become one? Why?
So I became a knight a couple of years ago. My grandfather was a knight. My dad's a knight. And it was, the cool thing about it is it was started way back, I believe it was in Massachusetts by Father McCabe. And so at the time you had a lot of Irish and Italian immigrants, right, that were coming here. They were laborers. Nobody really accepted them. They'd be dying in these hardcore industries like mining and stuff like that, right? Railroads, whatever. And their wives and their kids, if the husband died, they were just kind of SOL, right? So the Knights, it was kind of like a collective that, you know, they helped take care of the widows and the orphans at the time. You know what I mean? So it was like a servitude to the wives of Catholic men, because this was at the time, this is turn of the century, early 1900s or so, right? Where women didn't really work, they couldn't really work, you know what I mean? So that's how the Knights was started. And I became I
was just gonna say, like a charitable, like social program almost, to kind of support these families.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
And so I became a knight. I know all of them. So I run. We have 2 softball teams here, right? Adult co-ed softball teams, and I run both the teams. I kind of have other coaches that help manage and do the lineups and all the other stuff, right? But all the guys not all the guys, but most of the guys that are on those teams are Knights too. So it's like, you know, one of my brother Knights, I just listed his sister's house. You know what I mean? So like he's been coming here. He was actually one of the first members that helped build this church.
Oh, wow.
So like the roots and the history, I'm like, I've known these people for my entire life, basically, you know? So, and I mean, the reason I joined it, because they do a lot of cool things too that I really think is pretty sweet. Like we volunteer at Special Olympics, you know what I mean? We will like clean up the church grounds, I think once a month, every Tuesday, I don't know. That's the thing, sometimes like trying to keep up with my schedule is kind of chaotic. But they do little things around the church that just help it look better too. I mean, we put some flagpoles over there. Like I know I volunteered with them twice for Special Olympics. And I mean, certain people will come to us if they're in need. I mean, there was a gentleman that his son needed a ramp for a van. So we had a fundraiser and, got him a ramp for the van. So little things like that.
Okay. So you're just like a servant, essentially, to the church and to the people.
Exactly.
Okay. What, I also read that there's like an insurance.
Yeah, so there's like a.
Tell me about that. Do you have insurance?
I do. It's like a life life insurance policy.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's not
through
like
there.
health
So
insurance or anything?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm like, dude, that would be sweet.
I know.
But
I was considering it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no copay, tight.
Yeah.
No, no, it's cool. I don't really know much about it, to be completely honest. Like I do have one, and there's there's dues you have to pay like annually for the Knights of Columbus, right? But I don't know too much about the life insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get my buddy on who got me hooked up.
Yeah.
Although he's now in different type. He's in mortuaries and anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a pretty sweet organization, and it's a men's only organization too. You know, I don't think like there's we don't have any women members.
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. I like it.
You like it? You've been at it for a couple years?
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah.
And it's we meet, I think it's every third Tuesday of the month, and then we also do burritos. But I'm gonna be real, I'm like, I haven't helped it with burritos in forever. Or kind of one of the meetings too. I'm one of those slacker ones, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
like I still love all those dudes, and you know, and if when there's events to volunteer for and I'm free, dog, I'm down. So
Okay.
but it's basically just a volunteer organization.
Yeah, and like almost like a brotherhood, and yeah, which is very important, I think. The first time I came to your church a few weeks ago, there was the mass was like was it dedicated to the Knights, or you were just like y'all were participating?
I think it's either once a month or once a quarter. We have like a Knights dedicated mass where we'll be all the ushers will be Knights, basically everybody who helps with the mass, your lecturers, your Eucharistic ministers, your usherers. You know, we all wear our Knights polo and you know, kind of help run the mass.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to add? I know this is kind of short, kind of last minute, but
I could hack stuff all day.
Yeah.
But I also got CCD to start in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. Any encouragement or any last words? Are you good?
Last words. I think life is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Treat others the way you want to be treated, and don't be an asshole.
Okay.
It's really that simple, bro.
Okay.
It's, you know what I mean? And God bless y'all.
All right. I'll write that one down.